call is now being recorded.
So, Christina, this is kind of like a hometown show for you, I guess, coming to Atlantic City. Have you ever performed there before?
Well, actually, no. Well, that's not true. I did like a radio lounge in a really, really cool old theater. I don't remember what hotel it was in. Shoot, I think it was Donald Trump. Is there a Donald Trump hotel there?
Yeah, there are. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was there. It was very old. But I haven't done like a headlining show, that's for sure. So I'm definitely excited. It's close enough for all my family and friends to come. And I grew up going to the Jersey Shore my entire life, every single summer for 24 years. We would go to Ocean City. So, I mean, I love the Jersey Shore.
Some kind of a shore memory there. Most people do who grow up in the Philly area, so.
What's that?
I said I thought you'd have some kind of shore story to tell because, almost everyone does who grows up in the Philly area. So I figured you probably had a certain place you went to with your family or something like that. So.
Oh, totally. I mean, every single summer spent at the Jersey Shores, I could give you 7 million stories.
But as far as when you were starting to perform, you were performing more like in the Philly area itself and not so much at the Shore when you were first getting started, or more in LA or other places, or.
I actually have a pretty unique story where I was too deathly afraid to perform my songs in front of anyone. I did musical theater in high school and in college, and I would do like maybe a coffee house if my friends made me do it, and possibly I would play at a party. But like I never ever performed, and like my big brother and all my musician friends are all mad at me that like I didn't tour around the country in a van and play in bars and do that whole thing. I was just really, really shy, and so when I moved to LA, I would play songs in my living room, but I would put them up on YouTube. And so in a way, that's like, performing for people without having to be, so nervous. And I caught the attention of a manager that way because I didn't have views. Like, I wasn't one of those YouTube people that, like, had a bunch of views. I had, like, none. And he found me randomly. And then I still never played a show. The very first show I ever played was actually on the CBS morning show when I played Jar of Hearts. It was my first time I ever did that. And it was in front of, like, 30 million people. So that was pretty crazy. And at that point, I really wished that I had played shows around Philly because I really did not have that experience and that like confidence and the good stuff you get from doing that. And so no, I did not perform ever in Philly or Jersey for that matter. But now that's all I do. I'm about to go on my 11th tour around the globe. So it's just it's crazy how that can happen. It can happen anyway. There's no one set way.
Right. And I guess you've conquered some of this anxiety you have about performing live after all the experiences you've had, or do you still get butterflies when you're about to go out?
You would think so, but I'm really dorky. I mean, I still get so nervous. But the difference is now I don't fight it. Like now I just accept the fact that I'm probably going to be nauseous like an hour before the show. I'm probably going to be very jittery, and then I'm going to feel awful. And then the second I walk on stage now, I'm comfortable. But leading up to it, I'm still probably feel exactly the same as I did like 4 years ago. I hear some people don't ever get over that though, so maybe that's just me.
Yeah, and I think some people feel like it's if you finally are like calm or it's not affecting you, maybe it's good. There are good nerves, and you can kind of can propel you and keep you on your toes. If you're too complacent, maybe you won't be as sort of dialed into what you need to do and too casual about it.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I'm passionate on stage. So if I wasn't nervous, maybe I wouldn't be passionate.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So doing all that theater, did you think you might ever want to be in theater instead of doing your own stuff, or did you secretly always think you wanted to be your own, write your own material and do what you're doing now?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, I still want to do Broadway. I still really, really loves musical theater. I'm a super theater nerd. But I also, I started writing songs around the same time. I was like 15 when I wrote my first song, and then by the time I had a record deal at 23, I had hundreds of songs. Like, so I never knew that if I was going to play them in front of people, but I just had to write them. Like, writing is something that's very kind of involuntary almost. Like, I do it just to get through life. And so there was a point where I thought maybe I'd give my songs to other people because I was so shy. But then the fact that it happened for me the way that it did, I was very certain that this was like the universe kind of being like, nope, it's you, let's do this. And then, you know, now in hindsight, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and this is exactly what I'm supposed to do on the planet, which is a really cool feeling. But I definitely wasn't the girl who pictured myself on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine when I was like 12. Like, my brother, he's always dreamed about being a, you know, rock star. I was never like that. I was just, you know, the fact that it happened is just kind of magical, because it wasn't something that I laid in bed and dreamed about.
Right. And even sort of how you kind of came, you know, there was a getting your song on So You Think You Can Dance. That was also part of the whole story, right? That, with Jar of Hearts was on that. Yeah, right. So that was kind of one of those, you know, things you can't predict or control, or, you know, it just sort of has to happen or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt picked. Like, I didn't exist in the music industry up until June 30th, 2010, and then at 8 p.m. when they played my song on the show and 220,000 people downloaded Jar of Hearts, I all of a sudden existed, and it was just undeniable. You know, it was like, oh my God, like, it was just insane. I flew to New York City, like, it was nuts. It was absolute madness, and the only feeling I had really was like, wow, this is just very clearly meant to be.
Right, yeah. So, coming in now behind your second album, was, you know, did you feel pressure since you had all this sort of unexpected success, and then all of a sudden you had to make another album, and people want you to repeat the success, and probably you do too. So, what was that like to make the, you know, Head or Heart album?
Well, it was really interesting. I was so exhausted by the time that my first album cycle was over. It was 27 months from that day, from the So You Think You Can Dance day, that I didn't stop. I didn't have any time off. I didn't, you know, really even process my real life. Like, I would still believe that it was just not even real life. And so when I got home from my 9th tour in a row, it was the end of the cycle, and I didn't even get home. I just like collapsed home and into a house I'd never even been in. Like, it was just crazy. And so when I got home, I was like, well, yeah, clearly I'm not even sure I'm gonna do this again. Like, I have a very good team of people and the label, and I have a great relationship. So there was no pressure from them, no pressure from my managers. Everyone was like, just be you, do your thing, and let us know. And so I had a nice chunk of freedom that a lot of artists, I think, don't get. And because of that, I think I was able to write the very first song for album 2, which was Trust. I put it first on the album because it inspired the entire thing. Like, I sort of had an epiphany sitting at a piano, and I wrote Trust, and I was like, oh my God, the album will be called Head or Heart, and all the songs will be head songs or heart songs. And like, the whole thing came to me. And then I was like, okay, well then I'm clearly meant to do this. Like, it felt, again, like another very big thing that I couldn't deny, and so I started to write, and 6 months later, I had 49 songs, and showed the label. They freaked out. It was awesome. We all picked 13, and then it was go time, and I made it, and then all of a sudden now, you know, I'm in the middle of it, and I'm proud of it. I'm really proud of it because it was very genuine. I didn't try to repeat anything. I didn't try to do anything because someone might like this or not like this. I really pretended that nobody was listening. Otherwise, that pressure that everyone mentions, it would have kept me from writing. I don't know how to write when I'm afraid. And so I clearly must have tricked myself and was not afraid while writing. All the fear, you know, settled in later after the recording and stuff. And now everything's fine because I'm just really proud of it. But it was really pleasant. I don't know if that's the case always for a sophomore album, but I just didn't let it trip me out.
And how is it now to take the songs on the road? Are you enjoying the whole, having two albums now to perform? Let's sort of open up your set. It sort of gives you more choices and things.
Oh, it's so much fun. I just did a big headlining tour for 2 months, and was the first time playing these songs. And when I was writing them, I had in mind like, okay, well, I play this live. Well, no, this is too many ballads. Like when I was picking the songs for the album, I was very, very cautious about what I picked because I didn't know my first time around that whatever's on the album is what you're going to play for 2 years. So now that I know that, it was a little bit different. I was like, okay, this will be a really fun song to do live, or this is too many slow songs. Like I'm not going to do this one long, or whatever. And so that really, really was a huge deciding factor on what made the album. So then to finally play them and bring them to life with my band, who I love, it was incredible. I really can't even explain how much I love playing these new songs and the old ones, of course. But it is rad to have just a bigger range of songs to choose from, and it's just been really great. I'm genuinely excited about playing all over the world for the next 2 years.
And now, throughout all this, did your brother give you any advice on, how to handle stuff, or, 'cause he's been in the business for a while, right? So he sort of has seen a lot of this kind of stuff, I guess. And
he gives me advice like an older brother, but not like a I've done this too kind of guy. He's my best friend, so he's very always up to date with me and current, and I bounce things off of him. But then again, he was in a rock band, and I'm, a solo artist. Like, so it's very, very different. But if anything, he's just really, really supportive.
Right. And do you guys perform together, or?
No, we do in our living room sometimes, just for fun. But yeah, maybe one day. We love the Carpenters. We always joke around about doing, some brothers stuff when we're older, but we'll see.
Right. And so you have some, you mentioned all this touring you're doing. You've got some big stuff happening again this fall, because you'll be out with Demi Lovato. I guess that'll be probably one of the bigger tours you've been on too, I would think. Is that a chance to sort of expand your audience further, or, what's it like for you to go out with someone like that?
Well, it's terrifying and awesome at the same time. I mean, it's definitely the biggest tour because she's playing all arenas, so it's going to be interesting to put my show in an arena and for 40 minutes and see what I can do. It's definitely a new range of audience members because of the tweens. I feel like when I look out in the audience at all my headlining shows, I see every age, literally, like from 9 years old to like 80, and everybody in between, a lot of college guys and like moms, and the whole demographic. It's just so wide. And with Demi, I have a feeling because of her background, it's just like the majority are very, very young, and they're the rabid fans, they're like the Twitter crazy fans, and it'll be interesting. I mean, I get like, if she tweets me, it's crazy the amount of people that tweet or retweet and favorite the tweet. So I can't imagine opening for her every night. I think it'll be just really good exposure, I guess, for me, but also really fun. I'm excited about doing a 40-minute version of my headlining set, kind of all the bangers and see what the kids say. I have no idea what to expect at all.
Right. Yeah, those kids, you never know what they're going to say, I guess. So.
Wow, it's crazy.
And you also, speaking of people who are sort of, everywhere these days, you did the song with Ed Sheeran also on the album. So I guess you already knew him. He was a friend of yours. Is that how that came about, or?
Yeah, Ed and I have been friends for a while. We're just really good friends. So when that came up, I asked him. He said yes, and came to LA. We did it in like one day. And, we can't wait to play that together. We've yet to perform that live, other than in my living room, where we have jammed it before. He, and I, hopefully, I think that's going to be my fourth single. So once that campaign comes around, I hope that Ed will do it with me in public places someday.
It sounds like this living room is yours. Is the place to be. All kinds of good performances are happening there. Maybe you should film that, put that up on YouTube. I guess you did that back in the day, right? Yeah.
I sure did. Yeah, that's exactly right. I got a magical living room.
Right. And I was going to ask you about whether you're going to be nervous about doing this Today Show appearance, but I guess you've already, having done the CBS show and so many things, is it feel it's not such a big deal maybe to be on the Today Show this time? That's coming up, right? End of the month.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a big thing, and it's always scary and awesome. It's like, and I always tell a funny story because I keep thinking, like, at one point I'm going to get less nervous, which I've already mentioned, and I don't. And so whenever I do TV, especially the Today Show, there's always a little guy that comes out as soon as I calm myself down. Live TV is just like, in every country, this is not just the Today Show, but in every single country I've been in, and every morning show I've ever done, I'm sitting at the piano or I'm at the guitar or whatever I'm doing, and I'm standing there or sitting, and I calm myself down. And all of a sudden, this person who always happens to be a little man comes around and says, 10 seconds. And then literally my stomach is in my throat. Everything I was just like Zen master goes out the window, and I am like unsure whether or not I'm going to throw up or pass out every single time. So I can count on that happening in a couple of weeks. I'm sure it's, of course, really exciting, but at the same time, it never gets old. Morning TV never gets old. It's terrifying and awesome.
Well, it sounds like, yeah, a nice work if you can get it. One of those things that nerve-wracking, but ultimately, a nice sort of payoff from it too.
Super
probably.
honored to be asked.
Yeah. So, okay, Christina, well, I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. So, thanks so much for calling in. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it too. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.